What is up, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm one of the hosts, Jeff Hartman, joined by the man with the picks, Pez himself. If you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the Fans First Sports Network YouTube channel. You'll get this show every single week, as well as a lot of other sports content like Coach KT Smith's breakdowns, the NFL whip around, and a lot of other great stuff. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, like or follow, subscribe so that you don't miss any of these shows every single week. With that out of the way, Pez, what's up, man? How's it going?
We're doing great, Jeff. We had a nice evening with Coach KT Smith last night. I dug a little deeper for the Steelers faithful. This Cleveland coach he's like a nice guy, Jeff. I grew to like the guy just hearing about him. So I kind of think Coach KT was pretend friending, though. He's digging in for information. I think he's heading to Pittsburgh today. I think he's revealing some stuff he got from this guy, Jeff. So I don't know if we're getting investigated by the league, but Coach KT is a suave guy. He's very good with his words. So maybe this is all a ruse, and he doesn't like the Cleveland Browns coach.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that can like anything Browns related. So it's going to be interesting. If you're listening to this, you're wondering what are we talking about. If you go to the FFS and NFL podcast feed, you'll hear myself, Coach KT Smith, on the NFL Whip Around every week, as well as his call sheet, Coach KT Smith. That is, check it out there again, FFS and NFL feed. But let's talk about the picks. The past week, Major League Baseball, we had some success, and we've also been screwed since the All-Star break. 4-3. What do you want to talk about? The success first, or do you want to talk about getting hosed with some physical errors on the field?
And Jeff, I'm proud of you. You're growing into a gambler. You can never blame yourself when you gamble. You always got screwed, Jeff, and that's exactly what I feel has happened. We could be way higher up on baseball, and a play here or there. 3 errors last night by the stupid Red Sox. 5 unearned runs, unprecedented, Jeff. I mean, that's we talked about a little before. That's like throwing 5 pick sixes, right? I mean, who does that? It tells me, Jeff, that Seattle. I think the coach last night said to Boston, "Hey, you guys been playing hot. Go out and get drunk or something, Jeff." That's what it tells me. Okay, because it's 162 games. These guys are burying beers on the sly, I think, at times. So I don't know, but we're happy, Jeff. We talk about it a lot with baseball. You can't get greedy with it. Of course, I'd like to bet against the White Sox every game, or I'd like to bet whoever the 220 favorite is a day. But you put yourself at such risk and exposure. Then what we focus on in the algorithm is measured risk. So we're not looking to take teams more than maybe minus 130. Or of course, there's special times, Jeff, and you get some good information and data, but you try to keep your risk to about an even level or plus money. And we've hit a couple plus money games. We had a big win with the Phils, laying a run and a half, so we were plus like 135, and that they blew them out. It was like 8-9-0. So kind of things you look for, and it's almost like going to the track. You might go every day, but you can't bet every day, Jeff. You gotta measure these things a little bit, and keep the money in your pocket as much as you can.
I want to get your take on this. I feel like with baseball, because as you mentioned, 162 games, it is a marathon, not a sprint. I feel like more so than any other sport, there are these ebbs and flows of the season where even a team like the White Sox, who you mentioned, statistically the worst team in Major League Baseball, already lost over 70 games before the All-Star break. They're still going to find ways to win baseball games. They're not going to lose every single game. And so you look at statistically, that makes it difficult because, like you said, we can't just bet against the White Sox. Well, statistically, they're going to win baseball games, and you just don't know when it's going to happen.
Well, it's funny you say that, Jeff. Phillies right now, who I think have a tremendous lineup, pitching and fielding. I think they might be one bat short, Jeff, but that's we're pulling hairs a little bit. But John Kruk, who former famous Philly guy, almost got decapitated by Johnson in the All-Star game. He's a fantastic guy, John Kruk. He's a big South Jersey Shore Beach guy. So he's been telling everybody, calm down. You're going to lose games, and you're going to hit the ball sometimes and put runs up. And, you got a lot of moving parts. And part of investing in baseball is kind of knowing to put your foot on the gas and step away from a team. And, that's a tough judge. We've been a little bit, hesitant to take take some of the big gun pitchers coming out of the All-Star game, like a Skeens. You don't know how people are going to handle that big emotion. And he's looked a little more human, but he's still a stud, Jeff. Yet some people say bet a streak, other people say stay away from it, and it's a lot of calculation you have to put into it. Last night we had all the advantages, Jeff. I believe Seattle was hitting 214 against I can't remember right or left-hander, but 214, Jeff. That's like college numbers going up against a pro team, and somehow they end up putting up 11 runs, right? So
Yeah.
It's a great sport. It's a good way to get through the summer. I think we're going to start to see some separation too, though. I mean, as we get, we're about almost 50 games left, and that's when teams start to separate. Teams start hanging it up a little bit, and we'll be looking to find those advantages left and right rest of the season.
Well, it's going to be also some of your analysis is going to be huge with the trade deadline now gone. And so some teams have sold the farm, not physically, but like some people they've traded away all their good talent now for future talent. Some teams have acquired positive players. I think about like the Pittsburgh Pirates acquired players. So what does that do for their lineup? Does that make them more appealing? You have your work cut out for you, man, after the trade deadline.
I'm watching that Hard Knocks about the NFL with the New York Giants and Schoen, the general manager, and it's been great because they're showing it's pretty much data analysis of humans. I mean, they're judging who's the best investment when you're putting all this money, and it's kind of what we're doing with baseball, Jeff. You're looking, you got to think, how's this pitcher going to do? You got to judge his numbers against the team, left-right handing batting averages, nighttime, daytime, and there's a lot of things that go into this, wind direction, and on the road home. So you really got to punch the numbers. I think the Yankees made some good moves. I think they improved their team. I think the Phillies picked up a nice pickup there too. Detroit, I don't know what that means the rest of this season. Are they with Skoo Ball, or they gonna let I know they can cut some crazy deals. Trade deadline is not the firm deadline either. I don't think, is it, Jeff?
It is. You can't make any more trades. I mean, but Skoo Ball, here's the thing about Skoo Ball. So the Detroit Tigers are not a great team. He's still there, but is he going to have the run support to win when he starts? Like, those are the questions you got to ask.
Right. I mean, he might be packing his bags for the offseason, right? I mean, that kind of happens sometimes. And these guys know, you didn't trade me, but I'm trading myself maybe. And
True.
You got to, I think coming out of the All-Star break and the trade deadline, you kind of got to go touch and go and see how things realign. And, the Phillies, who would have thought they last night, I think the 12th inning, they lose another desperate loss, and they're still hitting the ball, and they're not pitching horribly. So things you got to keep looking at. And, luckily we got games all day and night. So there's a lot of information out there.
So as we take the foot off the accelerator a little bit with baseball, we're starting to hit the accelerator with the National Football League. Every team is back at training camp. This Thursday is the very first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, which will be exciting as we see what the new kickoff rules look like in person. It's just going to be different, and I'm going to tune in to see what the kickoff looks like and how that's handled. I don't care who wins or loses the game, and I don't care about either team that's in the game, but Pez, you're gearing up for football just like everyone else. What are your thoughts?
Well, and it's a good thing you bring up, Jeff. The special teams is such a deciding factor in covering spreads in the NFL. And, the best coaches have always focused on special teams. Belichick, Andy Reid, Bill Parcells was a big special teams guy because it's a third of the game. And that's saying the guys playing special teams are also ready to step on the field in case of injury. But the teams that dominate special teams, whether it's kickoff, punt, whatever, field goal, they tend to cover spreads at a high rate and a much higher percentage than when they're sloppy with it. So I don't know what this new kickoff's going to do. I don't know if it changes emphasis. Something we're going to have to watch. That line's crazy, Jeff. I think the Bears were laying to. Now they're getting to. Preseason gambling, Jeff, is for a different breed of gamblers. I save that for some of my aggressive, partners like the Action Man. I would stay away from all preseason gambling, Jeff. I find it to be a puzzling thing to invest in. That's like going to a casino and saying you're going to play with a partial deck. You don't know what these coaches are doing, especially now. I mean, I don't think Rodgers is going to suit up in a preseason game, and you don't know what's going to happen. I doubt we see Stroud this week, right? I wouldn't put that guy out there.
Hell, huh?
No way, right?
Yeah, unless they play Thursday night, every other team has 3 preseason games. So the way this has gone the last 2 seasons since they've gone from 4 to 3 is that they treat the last preseason game as the final dress rehearsal, because remember they have that whole week off after that final preseason game until the regular
Sure.
season starts. So when you think back to what the 4-game preseason used to look like, first preseason game no one played, second preseason game maybe a series or two, third preseason game was what they called the final dress rehearsal. And then the fourth preseason game was for those guys that are on the bubble. They're just trying to make decisions. So it's flipped. No one plays in game 1, really. Game 2, a little bit more. Game 3 is that game. And then you have a week off and you're getting ready for the regular season. So I wouldn't, man, betting on the preseason,
Oh my god.
especially if you're talking like win, like totals for the game, like point totals, like that's so absolutely absurd. But people do. People do. Let me see if I can go ahead. Let me see if I can find the line for tonight
Uh,
for Thursday night's game.
I think it's 2, Jeff. I think Bears are getting 2. But they are, and that opened at them laying 2. So come on. I mean, you got guys that are probably never going to play in the NFL that are going to be in this. Good for
Yeah.
them, and they play hard, and it's insanity, Jeff. But some of the things to look for with the NFL that are interesting right now, quarterback situation, which is that's number one, Jeff. And we're seeing it even down to wide receivers, how much money they're getting. It's not a running back league anymore. So you kind of got to change your thinking in terms of gambling, in terms of fantasy gambling, and you got to think of it's a different league, and it's going to be running back by kind of committee, or it's going to be option plays, and it's a different type of league now. So I think in the preseason, it's good to see, are they airing the ball out? Are teams let the ball go? And we saw in the last year in the playoffs, C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, they aired that ball out like I've never seen in playoff football, especially on the road, and they won. They had success. So when we're looking at maybe potential MVP kind of selections, but these are kind of things you can kind of get a hint, even if they're backups in, right? I mean, they're going to be practicing the same plays that the QB1 is. So if the QB 3-4 is gunning the ball, maybe that gives you a little inkling. They're going to be calling plays like that once the regular, the starting team gets out there. But I look at this league still, Jeff, and I think this year is going to be a very successful gambling year. We're going to knock on some wood, but there aren't many good quarterbacks in this league, and I think more and more it's turning into you got to be able to throw the ball more than you have to be able to run the ball. Kansas City proves that every year. I mean, Pacheco's good, Jeff, but that team's all about Mahomes, and you need a smart quarterback. And for some rookies, maybe that's something we can look for. Is Bo Nix going to get it? In Denver, is he going to start? There's some interesting preseason dialogue in terms of what quarterbacks can be out there, and that you can get some good data and get some good tape on early week investments, and especially against some of these young guys. Some of them, I feel like you can pick out immediately. Bet again this guy game 1. This guy's terrified already, right? So
Yeah.
something we'll be looking at over the coming weeks.
Absolutely. And we'll start diving into some fantasy for those people that like to play money driven fantasy football. We'll dive into some position groups and things like that, getting you ready for the upcoming NFL season. But I want to talk a little bit about, to finish up the show, the Olympics. There is gambling on the Olympics. I'm looking at the men's Olympic golf odds right now as they get ready to tee off today, Thursday, when this podcast is published. Pez, have you watched any of the Olympics? Is that your cup of tea?
It's great, Jeff. It's kind of like English Premier League soccer this year. It's on all day. It's on in the morning. Where you're not giving up your prime time. Nights hitting the town in the summer. So yeah, we've been watching it. I can't imagine investing money on it, Jeff. Who knows what's going to happen? I think I saw today, Jeff. It was riveting. The 19th ranked ping pong player beat the number 1 ranked Chinese guy. It was 6 games, Jeff. It was fantastic. It was reminiscent of Johnny Drama versus John Stamos, the famous Entourage ping pong match. I don't know if you're an Entourage fan, Jeff, but very similar, very very intense. I would not invest money on this, even with the golf, Jeff. Who knows what's going on over there? The Olympics is an awesome thing. It almost seems immoral to gamble on the Olympics, Jeff, but that's probably because I'm on camera. I mean, I'll probably be laying some bets today. So.
Well, I think that golf, because it's as close to what we normally see. I mean, you can talk about soccer. Yeah, that's the same. And then you're going to have the country versus country environment. We just had that with the Euro but
Sure.
it's not the same. Like golf is pretty standard. Like you have Scotty Scheffler representing the United States of America at plus 350 odds, Xander Schauffele plus 550 odds. You have Rory McIlroy representing Northern Ireland at plus 750. Colin Morikawa, another American, plus 900. John Rahm, they got live golfers in this. Let's not forget that. Plus 900. Ludwig Oberg, your boy, representing, I believe, Sweden, plus 1,400 to win the gold.
Again, tough. Did Ricky Fowler take silver or something in the last Olympics? Like
Yeah.
I think Justin Rose might have won gold, or
No, Xander won gold
Xander.
last
Okay,
time.
so I don't know how to look at Olympics in terms of pros playing there. I watched that Dream Team or whatever that Michael Jordan special was. That guy was gambling till dawn, and then he'd go out and play 36 holes, and he'd still go light it up. So that's Michael Jordan. MJ can do those things, but I wonder, are all these guys doing that? They're in France. I mean, it's got to be a great party. I think it's better to enjoy the Olympics, to invest money at this point. If I had a wager, I mean, I think Scheffler's not a bad play, right? I mean, he's still the best in the world to me, and generally these Olympic courses aren't too tough. I mean, I think the rough is usually down. I haven't seen this course yet, but I'll go with the Chef, Jeff. I think Chef is bringing gold home. It's his. He's got to show Xander that he's Player of the Year, right? I mean, this big competition we got going on now.
It's going to be fun to watch. I'm actually looking forward to it because the last 2 years or last 2 Olympic cycles, there's always been something that's kept the best golfers from not playing. Zika was 2016, 2020 was the COVID year. And so this year, it seems like everyone's playing. Like the good golfers are all in this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, I've been intrigued by, not in a gambling sense, but I've been intrigued by the Olympics. Did you see the U.S. women's rugby beating Australia in the bronze medal game? That's like the Eagles getting a 95-yard interception return for a touchdown on a Hail Mary pass to win at the end of regulation. Just insane. Did you see that?
Awesome. It was awesome, Jeff. And what a sport. I mean, you're combining soccer, football. I mean, that's you got to be a badass to play some rugby. I'm not getting out there for that, Jeff. And people get broken necks like it's a sprained ankle or something. I got a buddy broke his neck playing. He thought it was cool. I'm like, that's not cool. I mean, that's a tough sport. The whole world loves rugby and cricket, which is an entirely whole different thing. And you can gamble on them, Jeff. But Pez's picks, we shy away from those sports. We have no business investing money on that. I don't even know the rules of cricket or rugby very well, but I know they're kicking it and throwing it. It's pretty cool, and that was exciting. And who knows what their odds were? I mean, that had to be 10,000 to 1 for them to win that game. I don't know, that's something crazy.
I think it's the first time the U.S. women's rugby team has won a medal ever.
Insane. Insane. It's a growing sport. I hear about people playing, and we're going to stay on the sidelines, Jeff. I don't want to get beaten up in a rugby court.
All right, Pez, it's been a good show. What are your final thoughts as we continue down the stretch with baseball? We start to look ahead to football, both college and NFL. What are your final thoughts here?
I mean, we're going to be having next week. We'll probably be finishing up our future plays in the AFC. I don't know, Jeff. I'm looking at Denver, and they got 3 quarterbacks that they're trying out for quarterback. So we're going to be selling them, I think, Jeff. Okay, take a look at the number, but I think the quarterback situation, we saw it in the draft, is going to be so interesting to watch this year. And that on that Hard Knocks, they showed in the last 10 years, I think they counted 5 first-round quarterback selections are still with the team that picked them in the last 10 years. And there was like 50-some guys, right? So, well, which one of these dudes is going to step up? Who's going to be starting? And these are things we're watching for, because rookie quarterbacks, Jeff, tend to be, like blood in the water to a shark as a gambler. We love rookie quarterbacks. Very few C.J. Strouds. We love interceptions, as you know. So I think it could be an exciting year for the NFL, good and bad.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched the waters of college football yet, but we'll be doing that here in the upcoming weeks, as college football is slated to start in just over a month. And it's different because everyone's got different teams with the transfer portal and all these players moving all over. It's crazy.
My wife brought me home a college football magazine, Jeff. She said, you need to – it's a nightmare, Kyle. Who knows who's playing where, who's coaching? Who made these rules? It's ridiculous on gamblers. But we're going to get to the bottom of it, Jeff. We got a lot of late nights here. We'll be reading everything and getting everything lined up going into week 1.
All right, perfect, Pez. Thank you for your time as always. Take it easy. We'll talk next week.
All right, later.